once you know that power, it's over. And they are terrified. Make no mistake, they are terrified of your power. And once you realise that, wow, it's over.
I'm in Endcliffe Park today. It's November 2020 and we're still in the second lockdown. But if you look around the park, you wouldn't know there was a lockdown on. So many people here today who are not bothering with the masks or the social distancing. It looks like it's a different world compared to the city centre. We're here today for this week's anti-lockdown protest. In this video we're going to hear from Tanya, a university lecturer, about the pandemic and the proposed vaccine. And we're going to get some opinions on how protests are policed from a couple of people.
Right, let's talk about this scamdemic. From the very start of this, there's been many people all over the country talking about this scamdemic. Everyone who's got half a brain knows it's an absolute scam. In 19th of March this year, before any lockdowns came in, this so-called virus was downgraded to something that's nothing worse than cold or flu.
I'm normally supportive of vaccines, as you said you are. What's actually wrong with the coronavirus vaccine?
So there are some legitimate concerns about whether it's safe, on what are the long-term consequences, what are the side effects, but I'm not even talking about those. My concern is that the basis for making a vaccine is if you have something that is so dangerous that you need to develop a vaccine. And I don't think we have a virus so dangerous to develop a vaccine.
It's not worth the effort of making the vaccine.
Yes.
It's not dangerous.
Yes.
Because it only affects the very elderly people. Is it really worth them rushing out the vaccine without the legal protections that you would normally have?
Exactly. Yeah. So it's good to develop vaccine against SARS-CoV-2. It's good to have a vaccine which will protect vulnerable and will protect elderly. But I don't understand why I need to have it, or my children need to have it, particularly because it's been cut in so many corners.
Yeah.
Why the government were allowed to bring a lockdown and lock people illegally, unlawfully in their own homes, or be threatened with arrest for walking down the street in a civilised democratic country for not breaking any laws, when this so-called virus was downgraded on the 19th of March this year, right, before the first lockdown came in on the 23rd of March. Why aren't people asking these questions?
So, I thought, as a way of introduction, I'll make it clear straight away why you hear accent in my English, because that's normal question, an inevitable question. I am not from England originally. Originally I'm from Ukraine, which means I grew up in Soviet Union, and which means I was 15 when Soviet Union collapsed, and I was in those formative years of your teenage years when you start questioning things. And this is where I saw Soviet Union propaganda falling in pieces. I saw how Berlin Wall fall, how our pre-Baltic sister republics went their own way. And I think I got that vaccination of anti-propaganda vaccination then. I think at those years I learned to see propaganda for what it is. And this is why I'm so worried now, and this is why I'm here today, and this is why I want to speak. Please believe me, I have this awful deja vu. I feel like I'm back to Soviet Union with this monolith propaganda, censoring of thoughts, and fear. Fear drives everything. And it's just, I cannot believe my eyes. I moved into a developed democracy to give my children better chance in life, and I'm just asking you to start questioning things. So I know many of you are doing it, and you are on the same side as I am. But we have many people who are close to us, who trust us, and who are not questioning yet. We need to help them start questioning. And I was gonna bring up 3 questions I now voice at every opportunity. 3 questions. Question number 1. We now have this vaccine, heralded vaccine against COVID-19 SARS-CoV-2 virus, and there is lots of hype about it. First of all, I need to say I am pro-vax, so I'm sorry to disappoint anyone who is against vaccination. I am pro-vax. I have a PhD in molecular biology, and I have 22 years of experience in a lab and in education. I'm a lecturer at a university, at one of the universities here, Sheffield Hallam. I am working at the Department of Biosciences and Chemistry, and I train biomedical scientists. And I'm saying, please question this vaccine. Why I'm questioning it? Not because I don't believe in vaccines, but because I don't believe it's done properly. On so many levels, it's not done properly this time. First of all, why do we need a vaccine? We vaccinate our children, I vaccinate my children against diseases where we know what risks are so high, but I'm happy to risk an adverse reaction or a very rare side effect because I know I give them benefit. I vaccinate myself for flu if there is a good flu vaccine, but I did not vaccinate myself this year because there is no flu, so there is no reason for me to put myself at risk. And I am not going to vaccinate myself or my children with a SARS-CoV-2 vaccine for the very same reason. There is no real risk which would benefit from mitigating risk from the virus, which would outweigh risks from the vaccine. A second question I want you to start asking, or help people around you start asking, is the cost of treating this disease. I believe there is a SARS-CoV-2 virus, and I believe COVID-19 is a real disease. I had SARS-CoV-2 infection several months back, and I know people who had very, very bad COVID-19. Again, I'm total believer virus is real, disease is real. What I'm saying is, there is no literature, peer-reviewed, when other scientists looked at it and they said, okay, your methods are sound, your conclusions are logical, so there is now lots of peer-reviewed literature which shows what 1 year of life of a person treated for COVID costed NHS 5 times more than what National Institute for Health Care Excellence allows us. So in other words, remember those front lines where desperate parents try to raise money to treat a child who developed cancer, but NHS does not have this treatment on NHS because it's too expensive, right? This is because they can only spend £30,000 per quality adjusted year of life. Resources are limited. You can't treat anyone with everything, so you have to choose. And for some reasons, with this particular disease, all this guidance, all these choices were thrown out of the window. And for 1 quality adjusted year of life saved in case of COVID, we pay at least 5 times more, by some estimates as much as 125 times more. And And it's insane. I'm a taxpayer. I want our children to be treated if they come down with cancer. I want our elderly to be treated if they have conditions. But I don't understand why this one disease has to have such a preferential treatment. And a third question I want you to ask, or help those close to you who trust you start asking, is about testing. Mass testing for SARS-CoV-2 virus. I need to repeat once again, I am a biomedical science trained at PhD level, so I know we do mass testing. It's called national screening programs. But every one of those national screening programs are first calculated for cost and benefit ratio, and then also assessed for its logistical and other feasibilities. None of it had been done in this case. If you are on Twitter, if you are on Facebook, if you are anywhere outside of mainstream media, it will take you 2 minutes to find out that National Screening Committee, so people who are a lot higher up in hierarchy than me with my, 22 years of experience, but just a university lecturer, people a lot higher up are now voicing their concerns. They say this mass testing is a screening program by the back door which had not been scrutinized. We are at risk at wasting hundreds, billions of pounds at a screening which has not been scrutinized by experts. And this is very obvious and in public domain. And it's not, I am not crackpot, whatever. It's public domain information, and it's also common sense information. Why should we risk side effects for vaccine if we don't need it? Why should we pay 525 times more for treating one particular disease? And why should we put up this huge waste of money on a national screening program which has not been done as national screening program normally is done? Thank you.
The coronavirus bill is one of the most archaic illegal bills you've ever seen. It says in the coronavirus bill you can be forcibly detained on suspicion of having a virus that hasn't been proved exists in the first place. Once you're in their detention, it says they can medically do whatever they want to you because your body becomes property of the state. Once you're in their care, once you're in their custody, they've got a section under the Mental Health Act. They've reduced it. It used to be 3 doctors could turn around and say 3 doctors before you were sectioned under the Mental Health Act. Now they've reduced it to 1.
No, you didn't, but that's quite alright. So, what's your thoughts on all of this?
Well, I'm an open-minded person and critical thinking as well, so I'm here to think, digest, ask people questions.
Hi, this is Chris. Last week I was with you and everyone else in Sheffield, in the city centre. As soon as the police started harassing everyone, I buggered off into Marks and Spencer's, so I missed what happened, but you got arrested.
Okay.
Will you tell us all about that?
Yeah, so last Saturday afternoon we had gathered together with some like-minded people, or anybody, you don't even have to be like-minded, we've got freedom of speech and we can agree to disagree on things. The police came, they were actually asking the people to disperse. At some point at City Hall, because we were at Peace Gardens and then we went round to City Hall, I was walking away from City Hall when a police constable stopped me and said that I was under arrest for not giving my details. I was arrested, I was taken to Sheffield Custody Centre, I believe, and where I was held all day Saturday until Monday morning. and it wasn't the horrible experience that people think it was. I was treated really well. I was given food, there was clean water, I had a blanket, there was light, people were checking on my well-being. On the Sunday I spent time fasting, reflecting. It was low stim because there wasn't any television or anything to distract me. And then on Monday morning I was taken to Sheffield Magistrates Court. Prior to that, sorry, I forgot to say that I was charged with something to do with the Coronavirus Act.
Gathering the coronavirus regulations?
Yes, under the Corona. Despite saying that I stood under common law and that I didn't consent. But this is a sign of the times.
So were they trying to give you a fixed penalty notice before they arrested you?
The thing with them, they wanted my details, whatever that means. They wanted my details. However, I'm a sovereign woman of flesh and blood. I'm a living, breathing, and I'm not a paper fiction because they want my name, which is my paper fiction, and an address. So they can't work with me, they can only work with me under maritime law. And I stand on the laws of the land. So this was the difficulty that they had. They needed to know my name and my details. So unless I gave those, they couldn't really work with me.
Do you know why they wanted you and not any of the other many? There was quite a good turnout last week, so why did they want you and not someone else? Do you know?
Well, specifically, I spoke, I did a small speech about being a sovereign being and that I was peaceful, that I do not consent to the Coronavirus Act, that I stand under common law. I thank the police constables for keeping the peace. So I caused no harm. I said I do no harm. I spoke to the people that wanted to listen to me. Maybe it's because they wanted to arrest someone to increase or to cause fear amongst people.
So if they do like one arrest as a token to scare people.
Yeah, that's exactly. Yeah. But I'm fearless. I'm absolutely fearless, and the good people of Sheffield are fearless, and they will stand up for their rights. And once you know your power, it's inside you. You've just been told it's not there, and you've just been conned into believing that you're little old me and you've got to do what the government tell you. Once you know that power, it's over, and they are terrified. Make no mistake. They are terrified of your power. And once you realise that, wow, it's over.
Every time they say, oh, it's Christine, she says, I don't understand. I don't understand. The judge, she actually fucking ground the old bastard down. The judge, she says, listen, she goes, I understand. So I thought, fucking Christine's got you. You're stood under Christine. She goes, I understand. You're stood in front of me under free-man law. You do not have to keep repeating that phrase every time I ask you a question. She was getting pissed off with it. But she said, I understand to Christine. And that gives fucking Christine jurisdiction in court.
My overall opinion on the police and the protests, from my experience, they're there to do a job. I comprehend that. I don't always understand it. And it's a difficult job. It's a challenging time. They have to do what they're told. I get that. To be honest, I think they do the best they can. You know, and I really can't say any much more than that, to be honest. I don't hate the police, but I do hate some of the things that they do. And I find some of the things that they do are quite controversial. Yeah, I must admit. You know, when they're arresting people, you know, some of it, I've been arrested myself the other week. Not arrested, sorry. I got a dispersal notice, you know, and I thought they were just being spiteful because I commented on the police officer's attitude. And I just said, I thought he was being a bit overzealous. And from that, basically, they took my camera, seized it, and sent me out to the area with a dispersal notice, direction to leave. And I thought that was just sinister. So that kind of action from a police officer, in my opinion, is not the kind I expect on the streets.
Yeah, I'll just ask you, what do you think of the policing of protests in general? Because earlier on this year, there were things like, in Sheffield at least, there were Black Lives Matter protests, and that was during the first lockdown. And the police pretty much turned a blind eye to that. But recently we've had a lot of anti-lockdown protests, and there's been quite a few arrests. There's been a lot of police presence at them. There's been police violence in some cases. So what do you think of the policing of protests in general?
Okay, well, today we've been on an education. It's also about mental health well-being. So specifically, I am not anti-police, to be honest. If they police and do their job, the police constables police under consent, that they act on their oath, and they do not breach the peace, they maintain the peace. I believe that it's important for our police constables to listen to what's happening. However, when they are following orders that are not unsimilar to Nazi Germany, they really need to think about their conscience and what they are doing. That's my belief. So I'm not anti-police, I'm all for them. Anybody should be able to come and listen and speak freely so long as they do non-harm to anybody. But the police need to remember what their job is, and that is to keep the peace, police by consent, and operate under their oath.
The thing is, the South Yorkshire Police know me, so as controversial as I can be, I can only say my experiences with police officers in the country at this moment in time has been the best with South Yorkshire. That's all I can say. Although I do question some of the things, and no doubt they question my interactions. They don't share my sense of humour, I get that. Anyway, you know, it is what it is.